What is going on, YouTube fitness family? We are at the Young LA gym today. I'm gonna be running you through the perfect chest workout. So what I'm gonna be showing you is not only the exercises, then how I would set them up, but also substitutions and how I'm thinking through how I'm ordering the exercises throughout the workout. I'm gonna give you the recipe where you can sub in different exercises and get the perfect chest workout. So without further ado, we are starting with exercise number one. I always suggest that you start with a fly movement. Everybody wants to start with their heavier compound presses, but unless you're a power lifter, what we want to do is open up the chest and make sure that we have really good blood flow. The chest is really primed for our pressing movement, and then we actually don't have to go as heavy because we're pre-fatiguing with the fly movement. The chest is gonna be really warm and we might not have to press as heavy. Our joints are gonna be more warmed up, and also if we're not pressing as heavy, you're gonna have less pressure on your wrists, less pressure on your elbows, less pressure on your shoulders, and more longevity. So let's walk through exercise number one. So what I'm gonna be using for this, which I said the first movement is going to be a stretch bias fly, I'm gonna use the machine fly, and what I'm gonna do is put this pretty far back. So I've had this on 6 of 7. Most of you guys will have a pretty good amount of range of motion, especially on newer age fly machines. Already got my warm up in, hence you see this fucking massive pump I have right now. Obviously. What I want to do is set here a few different things. I want to arch the back. I want to push the chest open, pull the shoulders back. I want to retract the scapula, and I want to get a stretch with a slight elbow bend. A lot of people will straighten their arms out completely, and what that's going to do, you see that pushes the emphasis right into the bicep and the front delt. Now watch the difference here. See how it pushes back into my chest? So I want to arch my back, push the emphasis in my chest, and then we're going to drive through. Big squeeze. In the middle of the rep, you can almost straighten the arms and really push, almost like you're trying to squeeze a pencil between your pecs. But this is the main focus of this movement. Arching the back, opening up the chest fully, getting a big stretch, getting really comfortable in that stretch. And instead of exploding out, I want to consciously pull the shoulders down and drive through the chest. Big squeeze, slow eccentric load. The squeeze is less so because you're going to get a lot of hypertrophy by squeezing. What you're gonna do is, if you can get a good little pause in the middle of the rep, what that's gonna do is allow you to squeeze the chest and then control that eccentric. We're gonna get a lot of that growth with the chest itself. If I get out there and I can't even hold that fall back to here, I've already lost half of that eccentric. So I wanna make sure I get a good squeeze. The other thing I don't wanna do is throw with the shoulders. So you see a lot of people do this and throw the movement with their bicep and front delt. I always want to keep those shoulders back and make sure that chest is taking the emphasis and the majority of the movement. So here, see how that shoulders stay down and back? I don't want to throw it with my shoulders and front delt. Yep, that's it. So instead of now trying to force it, what I want to do is only go partials, making sure I just do all chest. So I see I keep that in the chest. I'm no front delta activation. Go 4 to 5 of these partials. What makes those so efficacious is if you're stretching the tissue and putting it under load in that stretch position, what it's going to do is maximize hypertrophy, because essentially what they've proven is stretch means hypertrophy. If you can keep the tension in the chest and push in that stretch position, especially at the end of a set, it's going to drive a lot of extra hypertrophy, and also keep that tissue nice and long and healthy, so that when we get to our pressing movements, or obviously over time, we don't start to internally rotate and put a lot of pressure on our front delt and bicep, and obviously gonna be more likely to lead to more injuries if you're training in those shortened positions. Okay, so good substitutions for this would be like a flat or incline dumbbell fly. I would go with a flat dumbbell fly, really arch the back, almost you can even push the hips off the bench a little bit to get even more stretch, keeping the chest. You can do a cable fly. I'd suggest like a bench supported cable fly. You've probably seen in my videos with the stretch bias. Those are probably two. If you have like a plate loaded machine fly, that's a really good stretch. You can do that too, but pretty much any fly that's gonna be a mid chest focus, they do a really good stretch is gonna be good substitutes for, let's say, the machine fly if it's taken up at the beginning of your workout. Okay, so second exercise, I would do some sort of incline bias press. So I like dumbbells because you have freedom of movement, a lot of ability to stretch at the bottom of the rep. So what I'm gonna do is walk you through all the form cues that I use. I usually don't do a warm up for my incline pressing, just as I'm already so warmed up from my flies. Everything's nice and stretched out. You see I'm not at a very severe incline, it's just enough to get a little bit upper chest bias. And what I wanna do is kiss the dumbbells to essentially my bicep. And what that's gonna do is maximize stretch, and then I'm gonna push the pinkies up towards the ceiling. So angle the dumbbells up, turn the elbows slightly in, big arch in the back, press up almost to like chin height, slow eccentric load, kiss those dumbbells to the bicep, and drive up and through. And you see I'm consciously pushing through the chest. I'm not exploding up, I'm not here and then driving it up. I'm really like consciously controlling and pushing up. So I like to say drive instead of explode. So big, open, everything is in the chest right now. It feels almost therapeutic. Touching the bicep, feel comfortable in that pause. And then driving consciously through that chest because we can already feel it in the stretch, right? We feel it here stretching. So to press through it is a lot easier than if we don't feel it at all, right? A lot of people press without feeling their chest at all just because they're trying to get from A to B. Here, I feel all chest, and then I'm pushing like consciously through where I feel that stretch. So controlled eccentric load, big open, push up and through. Probably gonna do 3 working sets here, but you probably get away with 2 really good working sets with that proximity of failure. I usually go, that was probably, I could have maybe squeaked out 1 more, but I think I'd probably only get a 2/3 rep on that last one. On the last set, I'll probably go to that ultimate failure and do some partial reps at the very end of the set, and I'll show you what that looks like. So as you can see at the end of the set, just instead of trying to force it, I got really controlled partials and chest's already freaking toast. So you can see this young LA wife lover is barely holding on to these titties at this point. So, okay, so for substitutions for incline press, you could use a Smith machine incline, which is great, but you don't get as much of the stretch. You could use a plate loaded machine, so one of the more incline. What I would do is modify it like we're gonna do our next machine, I'll show you, to get a little more stretch on it so you can still get that stretch bias. Those are gonna be my 2 main ones. You could also do cable incline press, so you have a low position and you have the bench at an incline and you're pressing basically incline, you still get a really good stretch on those. So those would be probably the 3 best alternatives. But moving on, we're gonna do a flat bias press. We're gonna use a machine for that. We're gonna do a stretch bias press. So I have a foam roll on here to get even more stretch on these. So this is the cool Panada press. But what I'm gonna do is press down and through, squeeze. By having the foam roller here, I'm able to get so much more stretch, almost reaching behind me, pushing through, big squeeze. So with this machine, obviously it lends itself really nicely to stretch bias because it already has a big stretch, and by adding this foam roller I get even more. But I want to consciously push through the chest, drop the shoulders, squeeze in. As I come back, about 45 degrees, the elbow, keeping the chest nice and open. Big stretch, and then consciously push through the chest. Every plate loaded machine is gonna be a little different, but you can use something like a foam roller, just add some more range of motion, because as you can see, where my chest was the most opened up was in that lengthened position. And then biggest form cues are conscious drive through the chest, not exploding, big arch in the back, scapular retraction, keeping the shoulders back, don't roll it over, don't ego lift, don't hit just this range of motion. See so many guys just pressing right here, here to here. You see I've literally got an extra 12 inches of range of motion, and what that's gonna do is, from a physics perspective, we're talking about levers. When you go farther back here, the elbow is gonna get more and more bent, you're gonna go farther stretch, and just from, if you're talking about physics, it's actually making that same weight harder to get from that position back out to the fully contracted position. So you use lighter weight, but that weight is becoming heavier. It's the same way as if you use, like, let's say a pendulum squat, right? And you'll notice at the very bottom of the rep, it almost gets, based on where that counter weight is positioned, it actually gets slightly lighter, and then as it gets, or heavier, and then it gets that counter weight gets farther out this way, it's actually gonna become heavier. So same thing with this. As it gets farther back, mechanically speaking, it's gonna get harder. Use lighter weight, get more range of motion, more motor recruitment, more growth. Okay, so good substitutions for this, either a dumbbell press Really good stretch there, because dumbbells, you can do the same thing we did with the incline press, and also do a Smith machine, flat press, or like a hammer strength press, same thing. Last one you could do is set up a bench at 90 degrees and do a flat cable press. That's actually probably one of my favorites if you don't have a really nice machine like this. Cable press allow for very even, obviously force curve, but also freedom to kind of angle where it's really nice for your specific body ergonomics is. If you're shorter, taller, longer limbed, shorter limbed, obviously those perfect positions might be a little different for everybody. Okay, so fourth movement. I want to do another stretch bias fly. This time more for, it's not technically lower chest, but it's on a decline. So there's cable movements that you're technically actually on an incline, but it emulates this pretty well. What this is going to do is really allow us to get in probably the most insane stretch. This gets the most hate online of anything I do when it comes to chest, is because the range of motion is just like almost so diabolical. People are like, oh, your shoulders are gonna get fucked up over time, or your shoulders are gonna rip your shoulder shreds. Like, if you use controlled weights, you keep the emphasis in the chest, it's actually gonna be a very therapeutic movement. So I'm gonna show you how it looks. I've got 45s. I would highly suggest starting at just about as light as you think you could possibly go, probably like 10 to 15 pounds. So what I do is arch the back, rock the chest, the shoulders up. What I do is just start in almost a traditional fly pattern till we get to basically what's a comfortable stretch position. And then we're gonna reach behind us, opening up through the chest. And then we're gonna come back and forward, and then come back in that fly pattern. So, slight elbow bend. Turn the dumbbells almost towards each other slightly, arch back, keep the emphasis in the chest, slow eccentric load, keep maintaining that elbow bend so you get that stretch position. And then we're to reach back behind us, keeping it in the chest, deep of a stretch as we feel comfortable, maintaining emphasis in the chest, and then fly up. So this is very important, is that eccentric load till you get to that stretch position while you feel all chest, and then we reach back. All right, somehow my shoulders are still attached to the socket, so we're still good. Chest is still in one piece, so it does seem like it's probably like 1 inch bigger though from that exercise. So extremely hypertrophic. So substitutions we do for this is it basically on an incline, so it would seem like it's the opposite, but we're gonna be leaning back. A cable fly, I'll have Phil slice this in, almost a supinated grip. It kind of emulates that, and then you kind of reach up, big stretch, down and through. Another one you can do is even set up on a cable and do almost a stretch bias fly, kind of similar to the first one. Biggest thing with these, like, it's just 2 different fly variants that are hitting separate, like slightly different stimulus. You can even do like an upper pec fly with a big stretch. So really, this is just stretch. This is just fly variant number 2 of 2. And then we're gonna be going back. Last thing is we're gonna do kind of a body weight finisher. So I'll show you, we're gonna use this bottom of this dip machine here, but you can use either dumbbells for a deficit push-up, or you can also use the either assisted or just the straight up dip. So I'll show you exactly what these look like. Just completely going to failure. 2 sets, very minimal rest time between these 2 sets, just completely sinking it here. All right, so we're actually gonna set up slightly with the hands almost closer to the shoulders. Elbow is just to the sides. We're gonna rock forward at the bottom of these to even get more stretch through the chest, back and out. So the reason for that is because I wanna expose the chest to the most tension by actually pushing forward at the bottom. You see how much more stretch I get? And then pushing up and through. So with these, I actually almost don't want to lock out and get pause at the top. I'm going to go about 2/3 of the way up, keep tension in the chest, and then right back into it. Nice, proud chest, shoulders back, up about 2/3 of the way, right back into it. Take only about 30-second rest. Then you can decide whether you want to do 1 or 2 of these, whether you're like, if you're just completely toast, probably 2 sets total of these is just fine. And this also, I would say, is the least important of my 5 important pieces. It's just a cool, especially if you're more intermediate advanced, if you want to just completely cook yourself. And then also it has a secondary benefit of just getting that really good last second stretch bias at the end of the workout where you can really sink into that stretch safely with just body weight. You're not gonna hurt yourself with something weighted. So coming up about 30 seconds here, 1 or 2 more times, and then we'll be done. Obviously every subsequent set, I'm more fatigued, so I'm not gonna be able to hit quite as many reps. 6 weeks post-show, 6, 7 weeks, I think 6 weeks. I don't know, fuck it, lost track, but conditioning still pretty respectable, I'd say. It's not what it was, but still relatively good conditioning. Let's see if we can keep the waist nice and small. So still pretty happy with the look, but chest pump, 12 out of 10, I'd say. I don't know if you guys agree, disagree out in the comments, but if you guys want to see more videos like this of me structuring workouts, how I think through them, rep ranges, form cues, tell me down below. Also, if you're not subscribed to my new app, you're wasting your time because it has all this information, structured workouts based on your schedule, push-pull legs, full body, bro split, whatever you guys are looking for is in my app. It's progressive, so it scales you week over week, month over month. It is absolutely tremendous. I put my heart and soul into it, so make sure to click the link in the description. If you want to train with me, it also has my daily workouts. If you want to train alongside me, that's there as well. But without further ado, guys, I love you, and I will see you on the next video.